When they first saw Max's photo, their hearts shattered into pieces. The pain in his eyes was unbearable, a silent cry for help that had gone unheard for far too long. Max was weak. His body was fragile from years of neglect. His ribs protruded, his fur was almost gone, and his skin was scarred from a life filled with pain. But the most heartbreaking part was his spirit. It was completely broken. He didn't lift his head. He didn't look anyone in the eye. It was as if he had given up on life. Rescuing Max wasn't easy. His owner initially refused to surrender him, and it took the intervention of the authorities to finally free him. When they brought him to the clinic, he could barely move. He was severely emaciated, suffering from anemia, dehydration, and a severe infection. The veterinarians immediately began tests and intensive treatment, but they warned the road to recovery would be long and difficult. That first night, something extraordinary happened. As they gently laid Max on a soft, warm bed, he let out a deep, heart-wrenching cry. It was a cry of relief and disbelief. For the first time in his life, he experienced comfort. A simple act that most take for granted, but for Max, it was a foreign luxury. Then, exhausted, he fell into the deepest sleep, as if he had finally allowed himself to rest. The following days were critical. Max needed multiple blood transfusions, IV fluids, and round-the-clock care. He was so weak that he couldn't eat or even stand. For a moment, they feared he might surrender to the darkness that had consumed him for so long. But then, something incredible happened. Max decided to fight. Despite his weakness, he began taking small sips of water on his own. He accepted the food they offered, even if it was just a few bites. Day by day, they saw small signs of improvement. He began to respond to gentle touches, his temperature stabilized, and his tail, once limp and lifeless, started to wag ever so slightly. With continued treatment, proper nutrition, and an abundance of love, Max slowly transformed. His fur began to grow back, his wounds healed, and most importantly, his spirit was restored. He learned to trust again, to love again. After a month in the clinic, Max was finally strong enough to leave. He moved to a foster home, where he continued his recovery under the loving care of compassionate hands. He played, he explored, and he smiled. The dog who once knew nothing but suffering had found pure happiness. If you liked the video, put like and subscribe to the channel, where you will find a lot of interesting things.